Hello, I am D-Man, back with another Total Drama video. This time we are doing What If Total Drama Revenge of the Island was 26 episodes long. Now normally, Total Drama Revenge of the Island is only 13 episodes. For some reason it's half the length of the first 3 seasons. So what if it was the same length as the first 3 seasons? Now, before I start, I want to say a few things. The first thing is that I guess I technically could have done this with just the Revenge cast, but having only 13 characters and 26 episodes means there's going to be like 5 million non-elimination episodes, and that's kind of meh. So I decided to add 7 Pahkitew Island characters, and we will just pretend that they're Revenge of the Island characters. So for the mutant maggots, we've got Sean, Dave, Sky, and Topher added to the mutant maggots, and for the toxic rats, we added Amy, Sammy, and Jasmine. I try to add the characters that I thought would be a little bit more, some of the more realistic Pahkitew characters, and also some of the more important ones. And these are the 7 I ultimately decided to pick. Now, as for the rest of the Pahkitew cast, I'll talk about that near the end of the video. But I guess we should begin, because Episode 1, Bigger Bad Brutaler, Part 1. So, kind of like previous seasons, the first episode is split into 2 parts. The first part, you get your little Owen cameo, but other than that, it's just more introduction to the contestants. And we need more introduction here because more contestants, we need more time to see what they're all like. Episode 2, the challenge goes pretty much the same, I suppose. B would still do his thing with stacking the people on top of each other. Obviously, wouldn't need to stack everyone, and then they would just do their own thing. I guess maybe Sky could do some athlete stuff to get the totem or whatever down. Obviously, Topher is just really like Chris. A little bit of rivalry with Amy and Sammy, not too much. It's pretty simple. Stacy still annoys the shit out of everyone. Goodbye, Stacy. Episode 3, Truth or Laser Shark. Once again, it goes pretty similarly. You have the sort of the truth thing going on, all that happens, everyone complains, and then Dakota's out. Episode 4, Ice Ice Baby. Now, this is where things are going to get a little bit more interesting. So, first part of the challenge, B still does fine. Although I actually can see Jasmine getting to the top. I can imagine that all the toxic rats, most of them will go on B's chair, and with Jasmine will just up to the top, so it still works out in the end. Mutant maggots, I would do well. Storm would do pretty well, I suppose, but I don't know if Dave and Topher are going to do that great. Obviously, at this point, Dave and Sky, maybe some feelings and stuff. I wanted to include Dave and Sky as a sort of a contrast to Mike and Zoe. You'll see why. So that would happen. Toxic rats. Scott would still convince everyone to pick the bad castle. And then now there's the challenge, because you could just say, oh, it goes exactly the same. B's gone. I still think Scott would want to sabotage B, because B is really just that smart, right? Saw Jasmine and Lyman are athletic and strong and stuff, but they're not ridiculous. They're not like B. B's kind of like OP, so Scott will want to try and get rid of B still. So I guess he still have the thing with Scott and Dawn. Now, Sammy and Amy are going to have their whole little rivalry thing, and Jasmine is going to take notice, and Jasmine is going to pretty quickly be on Sammy's side. Now, as for the rest of the team, I suppose Dawn would probably be on Sammy's side, but I don't think they would really care. Lightning wouldn't really care, Scott would not care at all. in fact, I'm sure Scott enjoys the rivalry, because if those two are fighting, then the team is more likely to lose. So Scott's actually going to want to keep the rivalry going. I mean, and then yeah, Lightning don't care. Sam is just like meh. Same with Dakota and Stacy, but they're gone. In the end, I gotta be honest, I can't think of too much different happening here. I just think B's still going home here. Scott sabotages B. You could have Sammy and Amy vote for each other if you really want. And even I feel like B's just gone. I feel like because this is the first time Scott's sabotaged, no one's really onto him yet. And no, like B's fine. Like not B, sorry. B's not fine. B's eliminated, but Scott's fine for now. And yeah, Scott would still be the main villain here. Episode 5, Finders Creepers. Well, not again. Normally this is a non-elimination episode, and it still is a non-elimination episode. I will have a bit where Topher sort of manages to steal Chris's phone in this episode. Topher steals Chris's phone, kind of like in Pahkitew Island when he does that. I should also mention that Dakota returns as an intern in the previous episode. So yeah, that happens. The sort of the challenge kind of gets similar. They all get taken away one by one-ish. I'd imagine Jasmine stick around for a while, just because Jasmine's, I'd imagine, pretty hard to take. But in the end, I'd still think that the sort of, because there are so many more mutant maggots, it's much easier to leave them behind. You know, if you leave, it's much easier to leave more of them behind. So that would probably be the case. Brick would volunteer, and then Brick moves teams. Welcome, you are now a toxic brand. So that would still happen. And now we have probably the first major change, because now we actually have episode 6 is the Aftermath show. Now, the Aftermath show, now for this first one I couldn't really think of too much, because there's only B and Stacy out, so, and that's not really exciting. So what I thought this one could be, it would be like the old contestants reacting to the new ones, and then you'd still have B and Stacy there, I guess, and stuff like that, but that's why it's called old and new, so that, yeah. But obviously nothing really relevant happens. Bridget and Jeff hosted, I suppose. Episode 7. 3 zones and a baby. It's basically, think of the Pahkitew challenge, where they gotta, like, carry a baby to the end and stuff. Mike actually will manage to, I think Mike will manage to tone down his personalities for this episode, because remember the whole veto thing's happening, all the Emery veto stuff's happening at this point, so fun. Obviously at this point as well, you could, Sean and Jasmine would be interacting every once in a while, kind of like, you remember when Brick and Joe sort of went on a jog in the morning kind of thing? Kind of like that, but obviously Joe and Brick didn't get together. But anyways, for episode 7, like managed personalities, I can imagine Sam and Dakota interacting some more here. I'm not sure what exactly, but I can see just more kind of develops Sam and Dakota's relationship. It's a good thing to do there. Now this is where, so Topher, right? Topher's not really been helpful to any of the challenges so far. He hasn't really been useful in episode 5. He's just worried about his got the phone. Episode 4, he's not useful. He's just kind of laying back, not doing much. So people are getting a little annoyed. Joe's especially getting kind of annoyed at that. And so Topher has the phone, right? Topher's the phone, and now Topher manages to sort of call the hosts, or I guess call the producers, kind of pretty much what happens in Pahkitew Island happens here, and Topher would be eliminated. I could also see in this episode Amy and Sammy, their rivalry getting to a bit of a breaking point. I mean, remember, in Pahkitew Island, it took 3 episodes before, like, Sam had to take drastic measures, and this is 7 episodes in, so you can imagine the tension is extremely high between Sammy and Amy, and Jasmine, and just this whole team in general. This is really a kind of thing, and Scott's enjoying it. because the team's sort of distracted by this whole thing here. There'll be a point. I think there'll be a point in this week where Amy will try and just sabotage Sammy. She'll just try and blame it. She'll just try and blame something on Sammy, and I think Scott's going to take notice. Scott's going to be like, you know what? I think I want to keep Amy around. Scott's going to want to, no, like, Scott wants to keep them both around, but Scott wants to keep Amy around especially. I mean, that's also fair considering Sammy and Jasmine would be in an alliance at this point, and there might be something going on between Jasmine and Sean. As for Sky and Dave, it kind of, obviously they'd probably have, at this point, I'd imagine they'd have a moment at this point. If you remember where, like, Dave gets all the mud over him and stuff. I could have seen that happening in Truthful Laser's Shock, actually. That would have been a good point with all the mud in that second challenge. That would have been good to do that then. But obviously that's been building up as well a little bit. Sean, old zombie thing. I mean, no one, maybe, I imagine Sean's maybe particularly afraid of Dawn. Could be fun. Also, I guess what would be interesting is that, I mean, yeah, Scott, yeah, Toxic Rats don't use this challenge, so that's interesting. But yeah, Topher will try and take over, he'll be extremely slack, everyone will go for him, Topher will be like, Chris Shrimp, yeah, Pahkitew Island, except it's this. Episode 8, twinning isn't everything, same challenge and everything. Spy and Dave, I guess at this point I'm going to say they sort of admit to liking each other a little bit, however you get the whole I like you but and Dave doesn't want to hear it, so that's starting now. And in this episode, this conflict is just gotten to the point where it's terrible. Amy manages to successfully, along Scott and Amy sort of have a temporary alliance here, because Scott took notice of this whole Amy trying to sabotage thing last episode. Scott's gonna be like, okay, if you want to sabotage with me, and then blame it on Sammy, we can do that. And so they're gonna sort of work together to do that. And when I say they successfully do it, however, I'm gonna have that little twist with the, I don't know if it would be that fruit exactly, 'cause I don't know if it would be on this island, but there could be some other trickery. Maybe Sammy just poisons it, straight up. Who knows? But either way, kind of basically think of what happened in Twinning Isn't Everything, where Sammy pretends to be Amy, and then it's Sammy here is voted off in quotation marks. And I guess Scott wouldn't notice right away. But yeah, Sammy's gonna have a real hard time blending in because Scott was working with Amy. Episode 9, Backstabber Ahoy. So there would definitely be a point in 3 Zones and a Baby where I guess Scott would be stealing all the stuff. Because that's what Scott wanted to do, he wanted to blame it on Brick. However, Scott hasn't really been able to use that a lot. Like in 3 Zones and a Baby, Topher was eliminated, and then in episode 8, the whole twin thing was gone. So it hasn't really had a chance to do anything with the Stolen Islands. And also, it would take him longer to steal things, because there's more people. However, this episode would be where Scott would try and frame Brick here. The episode would go kind of similar, I'd imagine. Now, Dawn... Now, there's a really weird scene I want to mention. All the way back in episode 4, if you remember the scene, it's that weird Dawn Scott scene that comes out of nowhere, where Dawn likes Scott for half a second. It's an interesting scene for sure, but obviously episode 5 Dawn's kind of taken away very early on, and then in this episode Backstabber Ahoy, Scott just. I guess backstabs Dawn. But with these 2 extra episodes, Has Dawn liked? I don't know if Dawn has liked Scott more or less. I just find it interesting. Would Dawn like Scott? Would Dawn be jealous of him? Maybe. I don't know. Because, and I'm gonna say the answer is I don't think so. I don't think so, but it's something to think about. I'm just gonna say maybe there's like 1 or 2 more scenes, but not kind of like that high-sized baby scene. But it's like nothing really more than that. It's just kind of maybe slightly more hinted at. Makes the betrayal more interesting. So Dawn will notice. Dawn will once again notice. Dawn will try and take control. Which I guess would be interesting because I guess they would have to. I don't know if that's actually how it would work. I think Jasmine would take control instead. But obviously, I think Jasmine would take control. However, Scott would still sabotage. And I think Dawn would notice. And for some reason, only Dawn notices, so I'll probably stick with that. Scott's also going to notice that this Amy here is not acting right. Like something's wrong. And so there's all that going on as well. So Jasmine has to focus on that, trying to keep Sammy pretending to be Amy. So I just think no one notices still. So I still think I still think Dawn's gone here. I think Scott manages to slip the items into Dawn's bag, and after 3 episodes, it's finally revealed that Scott stole the items. So there's a much bigger build-up to that whole stealing thing. And the backstab, I think, is actually it's more of a betrayal here than it is in canon, just because there's more time to build it up. In this episode as well, like, it's not that important, but because Bridget was doing the Aftermath show, I'd probably have just Courtney do the cameo, like the little challenge demonstration instead. It's not a big change, but something to keep note. Episode 10, Runaway Model. I mean, can't imagine too much changing. We'd have Sky and Dave interacting a little bit more. I should have mentioned I guess I'll go back to episode 9 because I do have notes, by the way, but I'm not like, I just have notes. I'm sort of mostly just going along as it goes, but I do have notes. But I will mention that the whole veto thing is getting kind of, that's still happening. Yeah, Dave and Sky, that whole thing is still going on. Dave's gonna try and set up a picnic, and Sky, I think, will either the Crystal be a knobhead or whatever, or if maybe the picnic thing does happen, that'd be cool. And then, I don't know what episode this would be, but we'll just say this episode. But yeah, Sky's gonna be like, I like it, but I want to win the cup. Kind of like, if you remember what Emma does in the Redonkulous Race, where Emma's like, I like you, Noah, but I want to win the competition first. So Sky kind of says that to Dave. And I think Dave will actually be like, okay, that's fair enough. Although, there will be some mild thoughts of, is Sky using me? Whatever. I think Joe might put that in Dave's a little bit. Sean and Jasmine would be getting along okay. They'd be getting along quite well, actually, because there's no... Sean hasn't seen any zombies or anything like that. Like, Sean and Jasmine have just been going fine for the last 10 episodes. Not sure if they're already coupled, but they're getting tension. Everyone's noticing for this opposite team thing here actually would be quite interesting dynamic. But anyways, episode 10. These guys, Joe still manages to win. Sam will have his little gamer moment. I can imagine Sam's gonna have a little game moment. I think Scott at this point is gonna figure this is not Amy. Like, Scott is probably Scott's figured something out because Amy here is hanging out with Jazz an awful lot. And Scott, yeah, I think Scott can figure it out at this point. So Scott's gonna have to somehow try and get rid of Sammy here. But luckily for Scott, episode 11, A Blast from the Past. Hey, Amy, she manages to swim back to the island and do that whole thing. I guess I should mention before, I guess we should mention the whole, Sam and Dakota getting more to the build up here. They don't kiss or do anything yet. Dakota would hand them like a number and that sort of thing. And of course, Lindsay still again. Just, just to do that. But yeah, this Amy would briefly return, kind of basically same challenge. I don't know. I reckon the Toxic Rats would do quite well. Someone would be hiding. Jasmine will intentionally lose, which is kind of funny because Scott's also intentionally losing. So that's really funny, actually. So they're going to lose even more now because two people are trying to lose. But Sean doesn't realize it. Sean just, that whole thing kind of happens, and then Jasmine gets kind of. Amy returns. Everyone's just sick of that crap. I mean, I guess Scott's not. I guess Scott's pretty happy about it. I mean, Scott would be happy about it because Scott's noticed this. But Brick and Lightning, and obviously Jasmine, they're just going. It's just they're gone. There's no chance. And now we move on to episode 12, the second aftermath sibling rivalry. It's mostly going to involve the twins, because here's the thing. We never know why Amy hates Sammy so much or anything like that, so this aftermath episode's a perfect time to sort of really go through their rivalry and why this hatred exists, because that would be really interesting to me. I really think it would be. Other than that, nothing too much happens. None of the old characters are here other than Jeff and Bridget. It's just because at this point we have a lot more interesting contestants here. We get to see more, more Dawn. Sam could talk with Dakota or something. And Topher could be just disappointed that he didn't take over the show. Maybe he still tries doing the Aftermath. Maybe Topher tries to take over the Aftermath show. Could be fun. But anyways, that's not important. It's episode 13. A mind is a terrible thing to waste. This is the whole cave episode. Dakota gets mauled. That's no fun. This is gonna be the sort of I'm gonna say probably the final. These Toxic Rats are doing pretty bad compared to Mutant Maggots for so many people still. And yes, Toxic Rats will still lose again. One thing I actually should have mentioned is that in episode 10, at the end of episode 10, I believe Joe and Scott switch places. However, that doesn't actually happen now until an episode later, so it happened in episode 11 because of that whole weird elimination. So, that's that. So this is going to be a little bit different. So, Joe's going to try and convince Lightning to get Brick and well, it's interesting because Jasmine and Brick don't feel the dog, so they're probably going to get along because of that. Mutant Mag, obviously no one's going to reach Scott a whole lot, but Scott's going to try and get in Dave's head about this whole thing with Dave and Sky. Scott, also because Anne Marie's still here, the whole Vita thing's been going on a little bit longer. Specifically, it's been going on a lot longer because the Vita thing happened in episode 9, and there's been like 2 episodes since then. And oh, I should have also mentioned that Cameron definitely knows that Mike's personality disorder. It happens probably around episode 10 or 11. An episode after the whole video stuff happens. So yeah, Cameron and Mike are buddies. Zoe's kind of buddies with Zoe. Sorry, Zoe and Sky probably getting along quite nicely. In fact, I can actually see this whole dynamic where Mike and Dave sort of get along a little bit. I don't know actually. Dave might not like Mike a whole lot. I don't know. Maybe it's like Sean and Sky are friends, and then Dave's friends with Sean, who has mild interactions with Mike. And then, like, obviously, Zoe. I think Zoe and Sky would get along. Actually, I think they would get along. They'd probably talk about, hey, how's Dave doing? Oh, it's going okay, I guess. How's it going with Mike? Kind of that whole thing. You could kind of see have that going on. But yeah, Brick's still going to save the Zoe, Mike, and Cameron. Don't see why that would be too different. However, this elimination is a little bit trickier now because I can joking convince Lightning to vote off Brick. But I don't know if Jasmine. I don't think Jasmine would want to vote off Brick necessarily. I think Jasmine would probably want to vote for Joe because Joe's kind of little spirited. I don't know if Jasmine's going to really like that. Obviously, Jasmine and Sean aren't getting along too well either here, but I think Rick and Jasmine are going to vote for Joe. And then Joe and Jasmine. So Joe and Lion are going to vote for Brick. So I think it'll be down to a tie. It might be down to like a tie challenge between Joe and Brick. And honestly, I feel like Joe's gonna win that. I feel like Joe still wins that. It'll be close. There's two scenarios. I can either see Brick quitting the show after that. He's just like, okay, I tried to quit once. I'm gonna quit again. Right. I'm okay with quit. I'm okay. I don't want to be here anymore. Or Joe somehow sabotages Brick in some way because Brick's probably a little bit better at the challenge than Joe. Probably, but Joe's just more fierce. So I just don't know how that would work. And yeah, oh my god, these teams are so busted. Look how many mutant maggots there are. Episode 14. Here's the thing. I still want Dakota Zoid to be here, so I guess he Dakota Zoid. It's gonna be a little hard to explain because I've not eliminated Anne Maria. However, what would probably make the most sense would be to move. This will make some sense. I'm gonna say Sean moves over to the Toxic Rats for this episode. I'm gonna say Chris is gonna be like. Chris is going to want to move someone, I think. And I think because Jasmine and Sean have a little rivalry, wouldn't it be fun to put them together? Have fun. Yeah, Anne-Marie's not going to quit, I think just because I think enough people are going to... I think Scott can either tell Anne-Marie that that's not a diamond, or just someone could. Maybe Cameron does. I don't know. Just someone. There's so many more people that I think it's... Yeah, I think people are gonna either tell Anne-Marie, or what I'd rather do. I'd rather just not have a double elimination. I'll be honest. I still want this sort of video thing to go on a little bit longer. The episode 14, Dakota Zoid returns. Moving Sean over. Mutant Maggots need a replacement. So it's Dakota Zoid. Well, I guess Dakota turns into Dakota Zoid. Sam, Gwen are here. Scott finds the idol, and Scott sabotages the team. They all lose. That's difficult now. The votes here are going to be quite difficult. So, I have an idea. So Mike and Cameron are going to vote for. And now Zoe's kind of a little bit on Scott's fence, because Scott's still trying to be nice to Zoe. And I think Scott went off with Dave's. I think Scott, because Sky's being a little bit distant here, and Dave's not, sure Dave's like it's competition, I guess. And Scott's like, are you sure? Scott's not using it, and Dave's a little bit like, maybe she is. So I think Scott and Dave are gonna get along together, even though Dave's a little bit disgusted by Scott. Scott's can be a bit of a dirty boy. Don't know if I want it to be interpreted like that, but I can imagine them voting together with Zoe, and I think they're just gonna get rid of Dakota Zoid. I mean, this is, everyone's just kind of scared of this. Everyone's just like, that's kind of wacky. Well, to be fair, I imagine Dakota Zoid would be a little bit bothersome to Emery. Emery wouldn't like this going on, although maybe Emery votes for Zoe. Yeah, that's fine as well. Sky. I think Sky. I think Sky would. I don't know if Sky would. I don't know. I don't think. I think Sky would just vote for Dakota Zoid as well. I think Sky would just be like Dakota Zoid's. There's no way, no way you can beat Dakota Zoid in a challenge. So I think that's fair. Yeah, Scott still finds the idol though, but Scott never uses it because I just think there's enough votes here. And even if you argue that, I guess you could argue that Sky votes for Scott and Maria votes for Scott. Maybe. I mean, I guess you could maybe argue that, and then Scott would use the idol. I'm gonna just have it so Sky votes for Dakota Zoe, Emery votes for Zoe. And Scott, uh, yes, Scott, Sky, Dave, and Zoe vote for Dakota Zoe, Mike and Cameron vote for Scott, Emery votes for Zoe. Not a perfect elimination, but it's, Scott kind of needs to stick around, and I want him to stick around with the idol too, because it's gonna be hard for a villain to survive this many episodes otherwise. So Scott still needs to keep the idol. Also, that's another thing. You could have Scott share the idol to Dave, or something like that. Scott share the idol to Dave, like I trust you, Dave, or even Sky. He even should Sky if he wants to. Scott could get anyone's trust. Maybe not Sky. Sky would be a little bit more like, but if Scott has the idol, if Scott shows Sky the idol, Sky's gonna be like, I'm not gonna bother voting for that because it's gonna be a waste. So I'll vote for the goes. So it'd be something like that. Anyways, episode 15. I love you, Grease. I think it's fair enough to say that mine are acting even more strange than usual. And Emery has not seen Vito in a while, so it's a little bit. Emery's getting kind of annoyed at Mike for that, because Vito has not appeared in like two episodes at this point, two or three episodes. So like it's been a long time since Vito's come out, and Emery's getting kind of annoyed at that. I guess Zoe appreciates it a little bit, but Zoe's still a bit weirded out why Mike and Cameron is sort of hiding it so much. Dave, of course, is getting Dave's getting more worried about Sky, and Sky is also getting a little bit worried as well here. Because remember, Sky has that little secret, and she's tempted to maybe tell someone. She's like, she's tempting. I think Zoe's gonna be tempted to tell Zoe at some point. I really think so. I'm not gonna do it in this episode. But Sky is it's definitely gonna be a confessional with Sky. Like, maybe I should tell someone about my secret because I want to be with Dave in this whole thing and this whole boyfriend at home thing. It could get interesting. But anyways, I love you, Greasepeak. Scott sabotages the challenge. Even though Scott, I think, would be pretty damn good here. I mean, but Scott, this team loses. Mike and Cameron are voting for Scott for sure. Scott is. Oh, Scott is telling Zoe to vote for Maria because Scott's like, if you want to be with Mike, right? If you really want to be with Mike, even though Mike's acting weird, but if I can help you out a little bit on that, we can get rid of Anne Maria just to help things a little bit. Besides, Anne Maria's like not very useful anyway. And Zoe's like, yeah, okay, I want to get rid of Anne Maria. And then Zoe will tell Sky to do that, and Sky's like, that's fine. And then Sky will tell Dave to do that, and Dave's like, that's fine. Because Dave gets along with Sky well enough anyways, so Anne Maria's voted out here too. And now we finally have the merge. Yes, Jasmine and Sean are still annoyed at each other. Well, I guess Jasmine's annoyed at Sean. Sean's fine. Sean's trying to win Jasmine back, but here is the merge. The final 10 contestants. It's pretty much, you'll notice, is if you look at the canon revenge characters, it is the exact same 6 plus 4 Pahkitew Island. But no one would know about that if this was actually like the time. So I guess no more toxic rats and no more mutant maggots. It's merge time. Episode 16, Hell and Go Seek. Hey, so Sky rejects Dave here, because Dave is just, Scott's really getting into Dave's head now. Scott's like, okay, Sky must be using you, and Dave's gonna confront Sky, and Sky is gonna be like, no, that's not the reason. It's because I want to win this competition first, and then I'll get with you. So that happened. Sean sacrifices himself for Jasmine at the thing. Also, I guess Scott would win the challenge. I guess Scott would win the eating challenge because Scott could eat. I mean, Scott can eat dirt, so I think Scott's gonna win the first part of the challenge. Scott would have immunity, along with Jasmine or whatever. Okay, but then there's gonna be a scene here. This is gonna be where the scene, the guilt, after reject Dave and all that, the guilt's really set into Sky. Because Sky does still kind of like David here, right? And Sky's gonna tell. You could say why not Sky tell Jasmine, but Sky and Jasmine have not been on the same team at all. So I'm gonna say Sky's probably closer to Zoe here. So Sky's gonna tell Zoe about a secret. She's like, I like Dave, but I have a boyfriend at home. And Zoe's gonna like, you should break up with them. Sky's gonna be a little hesitant here. It's gonna be Sky is kind of in this weird rough jungle of her own. Zoe is starting to get along with Mike pretty alright though. I think because like Scott is like, it's kind of interesting. Scott's kind of helping Zoe to get a vote, but at the same time, Scott would also want Mike and Jared going because they are going for him. But I think if Scott doesn't do that, then he's not going to get Zoe's vote at all. So he's going to have to help a little bit. But yeah, Sky's gonna tell Zoe about the whole secret, and Scott, right? Because Scott's trying to work both of them a little bit, especially Zoe. Scott's gonna overhear. I'm gonna have Scott overhear this conversation. So Scott now has this information against Sky. So Scott could blackmail Sky. So that's gonna be a thing. Okay. Anyways, Sean sacrifices himself for Jasmine. They kiss or whatever. That's pretty awesome. Jasmine and Scott have immunity, so who do they vote out? I think, I'll be honest, I really think this is Sean's time to go. You might think, why not Dave? Why not Dave? Because this is where Dave would normally go. Dave gets eliminated and why eliminate Sean instead of Dave? Well, to be fair, the drama is still kind of here, so I want to keep Dave around longer. And yes, I would still have Dave vote for himself, but I don't think anyone's really going to care about this drama a whole lot. In fact, people are probably going to much more likely vote for Sky here. Scott does not want to vote for Sky, because Scott wants to blackmail Sky. Right, wants to blackmail Sky. Suppose as well, I suppose at this point Scott would also know about Karen, because Karen would have accidentally told Scott. So Scott can blackmail either Mike or Sky, or both. So Scott can blackmail two people here. but Scott's not choosing not to. Scott's not going to blackmail Mike yet. I'm going to have him save it up there. Because he still wants to sort of get along with Zoe. I think Sean's gone though. I think people are going to be like, okay, Sean and Jasmine, definitely a couple. Yeah, and it's like, sure, Zoe and Mike are kind of a couple, and Dave and Sky aren't a couple, so they're definitely not working together. Sure, maybe Mike and Zoe are working together a little bit, but like, that seems it's a bit shaky here. This is like a definite alliance and powerful one at that. They're both very athletic and stuff, so everyone's just gonna, yeah, I think everyone's gonna gun for Sean, unfortunately. However, it will be nice, he'll sacrifice himself, Jasmine and Sean will get together, it'll be adorable, right? Episode 17, Skyfall. This will be the, this, I think, just because we haven't had a cameo in a little while, because we had Gwen appear in episode 40, not, hasn't been a cameo in a while, so we're just gonna have LaShawn be a cameo in this episode. Why not? Skyfall, this would be the episode with all that going on. It's hard to say exactly what happens here, but I think what's gonna happen is Scott. It's a tricky one. Well, who's gonna win? First of all, who's gonna win the challenge? We'd have Scott sabotage Jasmine. I think that's fair enough to do. I'm gonna say like either Joe or Lightning. I think that's fair. We'll make Joe Lightning, or even we'll make Joe Lightning win. I think one of those two should win. Either way, neither of them I'm eliminating this episode, so that's fine. I think at this point, however, I think people are gonna realize the threat Scott is, right? Because at this point, Scott's told Mike, hey, I know about your thing, and I'm gonna use it against you. So I can use it against you at any time, so don't mess with me. And Scott's not gonna tell Sky yet. Scott's just trying to be, I think Scott's gonna be nice to Sky because Zoe and Sky are friends. And Scott's trying to work with Zoe. However, everyone else is just like, this ain't work. This is not good. I think everyone's gonna, Mike and Cameron gonna gun for Scott. I don't think Dave will, but I think Mike, Cameron, I think Lightning, I think these five will gun for Scott. I don't care who Dave's votes for, but I'm just gonna have Scott tell Zoe and Sky to get rid of. The thing is, Scott can't get rid of anyone, but at this point, I want to get rid of Jasmine. Just because this is a good time. This is just a good end to her story. She's got with Sean. They're happy together. They don't need to go any. Jasmine doesn't need to really go much further than this. Every other character here has some sort of rosy. You got Joe and Lightning. So I guess Joe and Lightning are sort of working together a little bit. They haven't betrayed each other yet. Cameron and Mike are sort of working together. These 6 characters are very relevant. These are 6 over here. Dave and all that. There's nothing drama with Sky and Dave building up. Zoe still does not know. Mike still has not told Zoe about his personality disorder after like 17 episodes. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. But that's what you gotta extend them plot lines. That's what I'm saying. Anyways, episode 18, I guess, Aftermath, Toxicity. Can't really say too much happened because you'd see these 5. That's cool, I guess. Nothing else really happened. Episode 19, Lies, Cries, and Surprises. And as you can tell, that's a very similar title to Lies, Cries, and One Big Prize, because that's not only going to be what the challenges are going to be like. But Scott's gonna... Sky and Sky and Dave are starting to get along a little too nicely. Sure, Dave got rejected, but Sky's starting to, Sky's told Zoe about the whole thing, and Zoe's like, trying to be nice to Dave and stuff, and so Sky's taking that advice, trying to be nice to Dave. Zoe's also trying to talk to Mike and Cameron again, and it's slowly getting better, right? And Scott's like, I can't have this happen. Scott wants the drama. because of the drama going on, then Scott's not going to be targeted, right? So Scott's going to just tell Dave, hey, by the way, I overheard Scott tell Zoe that Sky's had a boyfriend already at home. And Dave is gonna be furious. Sky's gonna be like, yes, it's true that I did things to do. Dave's gonna be so fucking pissed off. Dave's gonna be like, what are you fucking kidding me? This is some bullshit. And this is where the contra is gonna happen, because spoilers, Mike and Zoe are still gonna get together. And Dave and Sky are not gonna get together. It's gonna be a very interesting contrast. Dave is gonna be so goddamn mad at Sky. Like, Dave's already getting more mad, like, you know, Dad's kind of getting mad at why Sky's not really paying attention and stuff. I'm sure he said the whole competition thing, but now Dave's like thinking this is an excuse. Sky was just using it. Scott was right the whole time. Dave's gonna be super pissed off, right? Everyone's gonna see that. Yeah, Dave's just gonna be like, okay, I'm done. So yeah. However, at this point as well, Mike sort of obviously Sky sort of knows that Scott's kind of an asshole, because how did Dave figure it out? Sky's gonna figure pretty quickly that Scott told Dave about it, so Sky's not gonna want to work with Scott anymore, and neither is Zoe's not really gonna work with Scott too much. A little bit, maybe a little bit. Zoe's gonna like be okay with Scott for a little bit, but Zoe is more, I guess, weary. Either way, man. Either way, it's like, oh yeah, Sky is trying to, Sky's gonna try and get rid of. Sky wants to get rid of Scott, but Dave is just being Dave is just so angry that Sky has no choice but to vote for Dave. And Scott and Dave are gonna try and vote for Sky. Zoe's gonna vote for Dave. Mike's gonna vote for Dave just because, you know, Cameron. Like, I think everyone's just gonna vote off Dave. Dave just gets so angry. It's just like unreasonable. Like, sure, Sky's done a pretty shitty thing here, but Dave's anger is just not good. It's not good. Sky obviously feels really guilty about this as well, but Sky feels really guilty. It's like, because Sky doesn't know how to confront David. It's like, it's hard. And so obviously that is very interesting. That's where that ends. Episode 20, Grand Chef Auto. Yeah. Now Scott's like, well, I've already used Sky's for her blackmail. Now let's use you for your blackmail, Mike. And so Grand Chef Auto happens. And, well, Scott wins immunity, and Scott just picks up Mike. And now everyone hates Scott, so yeah. Up and away in my pitiful balloon. Obviously Duncan came in. Pretty much Grand Theft Auto is the same, except Sky's there. And yeah, sure, Sky could. There's a chance Sky can beat Scott to the challenge, but we want the villain to stay around, right? Alright? Anyways, up and away my pitiful balloon. Pretty similar. Scott and Sky gonna get along pretty well now. You know, Sky's an athlete. You know, Scott's smart. We work well together. They're starting to become pretty decent. They're starting to become pretty good friends and stuff like that. So really, it's now these sort of three in the trio. I guess it was like, so these three sort of in a trio, and then Scott's Lightning gets betrayed in Grand Theft Auto. So these three are kind of on their own, and then these three are working together. Joe just uses Cameron. Cameron's like, and I know Scott's not very nice, but can we get rid of Joe? I mean, Lightning's gonna vote Joe. Scott's gonna vote Joe because he's not much of a choice, and Cameron, well, Scott hasn't really done anything to Cameron. And like, they can always get rid of Scott later, so you don't really care getting rid of Joe. Besides, I mean, Joe's a bigger threat anyways at this point, so it's good to get rid of Joe. Now, Packed with Heather still appears in the camera, by the way. Now, for this one, this is Packed with Talents. It's Packed with Talents, except I couldn't make the pun, so it's Packed with Talents. This is an order elimination episode. They make up their own challenges. This is a tricky one because I'm making this an order elimination for a reason, and it's tricky. So I'm gonna do good in the smart challenge. So this is what gets really difficult because I've made an order elimination, and if I didn't, well, if I didn't, okay, here's the thing: if I didn't make it an order elimination, Scott would win immunity, and then like that's extremely obvious. In an order elimination challenge, I can pick whoever. It's still lightning. I still want lightning. I don't want lightning to win this because honestly, I haven't right, and I think you can figure it out. Who I'm gonna make final two. Maybe not. But I'm gonna have lightning. I'm gonna have his cockiness make him lose. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make him just be because he's a very self-centered guy. I'm gonna make that be the reason why he ends up losing and gets eliminated. Episode 23, Eat, Puke, and Be Wary. I mean, it's everyone against Scott. Like, Scott knows this. So Scott's gonna just try and sabotage. He's just the biggest dick he can possibly can. He's going all out, right? He is going all out. Command of Zoe would happen. And, well, in the actual challenge, it's interesting. It's in the actual challenge, Lightning would make Cameron win, but that doesn't happen anymore. So does Scott win? Maybe? Who wins now? See, Zoe doesn't win. So the only two people that can win is Sky or Scott, really, because Zoe doesn't win. I think it's I think it's fair enough. This is tricky. Scott, I mean, we know Scott is pretty close, but then Fang kind of appears, and obviously Fang would be fighting with Scott this whole time, so that's all fun. I think this is Scott's time to go. I think Sky wins, honestly, and then Scott gets eliminated. Yeah, these three are gonna vote for Scott. Obviously. Episode 24, Aftermath, the Final Survivors. I mean, we'd see Scott pretty quickly in that bloody trauma chair, or maybe we just didn't see Scott at all. Dave, oh boy, that whole drama's gonna still be happening, eh? But yeah. Episode 24 is the final Aftermath. Final 3. The only problem I have with this is that they're all friends. Which is part of, like, if I was to sort of BS it, I would have Scott I would do this. I'd make this the final 3. Because this would be more interesting. But I think more realistically, this is what the final 3 would be. I just don't see Scott beating Sky in any way. So who would win this? It's hard to say, but I'm gonna say Sky probably wins it again. Air Command is always good, but I feel like Sky's gonna win it. And now Sky's gonna have to pick whether to eliminate Zoe or Cameron. And here's the thing. I know in this fic is really tricky because I know Sky is probably better friends with Zoe at this point, although I'm not sure because I imagine Sky can get along very nicely. I don't know if they'd be a couple. Hey, would they? The whole day thing doesn't work. So I guess Sky and Cameron could maybe? I don't know. I guess it'd be something. For the comment section. You could do that as a plot. I guess Sky maybe like Cameron a little bit. Maybe. I'm gonna say that doesn't happen, but you could easily write this so that kind of happens. But I feel like if Sky's a little bit of competition, And you've got this whole Commander Zoe thing going. I think the Zoe's gone. I think Sky's gonna be like, Cameron's no threat. Cameron's smart, but that doesn't mean much. And this is, this is the final two. This is the final two. And this is a good final two. You still get your Brain Vest Brawn, male and a female, Sky and Cameron. I think those could be two finals. Not sure Sky would be as a finalist here. I mean, not sure the finale would go exactly because Sky's not a villain, really. I actually intentionally portrayed Sky as nicer here than in Pahkitew Island because it's kind of weird in Pahkitew Island. Like Sky's kind of like it's a bit weird, right? I've tried to make Sky a little bit more likable here by having her feel really guilty and having Dave be more angry than he already was in Pahkitew Island. But I think this is a good finale. I think it works. I guess you could also swap these two around. I don't know. I don't know which one I want yet because if you have Scott win the challenge, you wouldn't vote off Zoe. It's hard because I think for me this would be more interesting. But then this would have to be like an auto elimination challenge. I guess you could do that, and then Sky would win, and then Scott's gone. This is probably more realistic. I don't know. Either way, this is still the final two. Cameron vs Sky, and that's the video right there, pretty much. Well, for the most part, because I'll just briefly explain. Well, what would happen? You know, All Stars and all that. I guess in this timeline, and I think what would be really good if they had another season with these 20 characters. I think that would be very good. I would, however, kind of like World Tour, I would introduce 2 new contestants. And I would introduce Scarlet and Max. So you'd have a second season, probably set in back in the action set, to be honest. It would be with 22 characters instead of 20, and Scarlet would be the villain of that second season. Then you have All Stars. And I don't know exactly who'd have an All-Stars, but you get plenty of people to pick from. That would be 26 episodes, and then wouldn't be related to my other Total Drama All-Stars of 26 episodes because Sugar is not here. But then for Pahkitew Island, it wouldn't exist. Instead, for the reboot, we would add Sugar. We have 16 characters from the reboot season. Plus Sugar, Leonard, Rodney, and Ella, and Beto. Actually, not Leonard, because Leonard would appear in the Redonkulous race, so it'd just be Rodney, Sugar, Ella, and Beto, bumping the reboot cast to 20. So it all works out in the end. Anyways, that was a long-ass video, so I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, like and subscribe, and I will see you all next time.